Ooh.
Yeah, it's recording. I'm probably
All righty. Welcome, welcome. This is Real Talk Sports. You already know, just the Zoom edition. For
yeah for the first time. First time,
the
yes.
first time. We're not in the booth today because of COVID, and, you know, we had to make an adjustment. Corona had
Yeah,
came, messed it up being in the booth at that moment. So
for sure.
we still got to give you our racial justice in NFL episode 3.
Hmm.
This whole series we've been talking about just racial justice in NFL and things that are surrounding that. We talked about the history of it pretty much with Colin Kaepernick and his journey with that,
Yeah,
and then how it is with now, with
yeah,
racial justice in the NFL, and trying to broke down the protests that happened during the first half of the season, pretty much, and then went into a crucial thing, a crucial problem in the NFL. Because if this whole what we're doing is about racial justice and we want equality and things, we have to look ourselves in the eye and
yeah.
fix crucial problem that is underlying, and that was the Rooney Rule with the lack of black representation in coaching staffs and front office. So we broke
Hmm.
that down, walked that through a lot of the history of it and achievements of the Rooney Rule, like people that really benefited from it, and also gave you some highlights, some people to look forward to probably benefit from it, and probably getting new jobs and positions coming up, and then kind of
Yeah,
talk
there's
about
gonna
how
be a
we
lot
were
of
advancing.
opportunities for. Yeah, there's definitely gonna
Exactly.
be a lot of
Yeah,
opportunities for coaches
in
and minorities for
2021 for
sure.
sure. And so
Yeah,
we can't wait for that. And if you had fun with Mark Ross, an executive in NFL, a former executive in NFL, and a current broadcaster for the NFL Network, and we was able to just talk about that. And he's a real expert on Rooney Rules. But now, episode 3, the final episode. This episode is called the Justice League, where we
hmm,
just pretty much break down a lot of the achievements of the players and what the players are doing in NFL, and just seeing what their achievements are, break it down, and kind of give
yeah,
our spin on things as well, and just see what the league is doing. The league said that they're pushing for the racial justice and want to do this whole movement of that. And we this episode is just breaking down a lot more of their achievements. This is them their action. No more
yeah,
protesting. This is the action part of it now.
yeah.
You know, so we're going to start off with NFL's child, NFL's poster child,
Of
NFL's
course, the
megastar. You know,
the future face of the NFL,
future
undoubtedly. Yes,
exactly,
yeah,
and that is Patrick Mahomes. You
yes,
know,
yes, for sure.
Patrick Mahomes. We talked about him a lot, on Real Talk
Yeah,
Sports here, and it's good to see him. Good to see talk about him in a different light today, not just with his play on the
yeah,
field, but now his play off the field, which is his achievement of fighting for racial justice in the NFL. So
yeah,
Pat Mahomes he had made a commercial in the beginning of the season with Adidas, who he sponsored with, in the
yeah. Shout out
commercial.
Adidas.
Yeah, we love Adidas here. I mean, I'm a more of a Nike person, if you see right here,
Yeah.
but you
For once, I don't have Adidas on, so I can't even, I can't even rant. So it's fun.
but yeah, we love Adidas, and he had made a commercial with them, really talking about social justice and tone. I just want to get your thoughts on the commercial and pretty much why that commercial is important to have. Why is a commercial with Adidas for Patrick Mahomes so important?
Uh, One, I feel like this commercial shows more than just a brand. It shows intentions behind the decision that these players make. Because, like Patrick Mahomes, he's the most popular player quarterback in the NFL right now, and he could have went with the most popular brand right now. And I hate to say it, but that's Nike. He could have easily
Nike.
signed a Nike contract and got more money and been more famous and dropped like more collections and things like that. But I feel like this conversation was discussed in them boardroom meetings. This was brought up to him when they brought the contract to him and saying, "Hey, not only will you sign with us, we're also going to use our platform to allow you to use your platform to talk about things that
Hmm.
need to be talked about."
Wow.
So him signing with them and him showing and him them making a commercial as a whole on both ends of for both brands show that they're willing to stand for something, and they're taking chances because this is not perceived well on all ends. And of course, we
Yeah,
love it. Of course, we love it. We're going to love it. But
we're
there's some
gonna love
people
it.
who feel like this is unnecessary. That athletes should just stay athletes. But these athletes and this athletic brand is not allowing that to happen.
We're
And I
more
love
than
the fact that
athletes here.
exactly, and I love the fact that Patrick Mahomes, a player of his stature, said something because not too many times that they do when there's safety situations. Like you gotta see the Tom Brady's, the Aaron Rodgers. Drew Brees kind of got caught up in it a little bit prior to the season, but then he quickly pulled himself out of it and tried to clean up his name and make it look good. But normally, when players of that caliber, who is seen as the upper echelon of the NFL, they stay
Yeah,
away from topics that's a little shaky. And he jumped into it head
I've
first
been to it.
and has
Yeah,
a 2-minute commercial with one of the biggest brands in the world talking about social injustice and racial injustice, and I think it's great. And they did it on other aspects too with other athletes, but with Patrick Mahomes, it was something that I feel like most people didn't expect.
yeah,
They expected
that's
they
big.
expected him, yeah, they expected him to just be quiet and play football and not really say too much about it. But I love the fact that he did it, and I love the fact that he said something. How do you feel about the commercial? Because we were just watching it not too long ago. We were recapping it, and I know
Recapping on it, yeah,
yeah,
I
for sure,
think that is I think it's probably bigger than a lot of other athletes that the commercials that they did with them. Not taking it from them, but it's just
yeah.
that Pat Mahomes, his achievement, what he just did, he just signed a $500 million contract. You feel what I'm saying?
He's
Fresh
the
off
highest paid
that.
athlete in America, bro.
Exactly. So you
Yeah.
fresh off that, you know what I mean? You come up with a heavy commercial making the statement and using your platform as a black man, and you made this platform and created this platform with your achievements on the field,
Yeah.
MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs, Super Bowl champions, and all of that type of stuff. Then you said, look, I'm gonna sign this big contract, but look, man, we're making noise, making change
Mm-hmm.
in my platform, and I'm doing
Yeah.
my part as a black man and showing you what I care about and want to create change. Like I'm in those meeting rooms, like I'm in the boardroom meetings, I'm in the discussions. I got that seat at the table. Now
Mm-hmm.
look, I got that seat at the table. I'm gonna change things. You know what I mean? Show
Mm-hmm.
y'all that Black lives do matter.
Uh-huh.
And it's great though because what he's talking about. He's talking about the whole George Floyd movement, Black Lives
Uh-huh.
Matter movement. After the George Floyd and the Breonna Taylor cases, and he just was
Mm-hmm.
saying, reflecting on that, like, yo, it's amazing to see us come together for one goal. This is the
Yeah.
key. And he said in the NFL season and what we're going to be doing, we're following that. We're carrying that mission, and he said it's beautiful. We're gonna carry that what we did out there in the summertime. So on the field this season and further on, keep going. He said what happened out there really was beneficial now because now people are having those discussions. He was saying, people are
Yeah.
listening. He said even in locker rooms, we're listening to each other, and that's what it takes to make change. He said just like how Adidas listened to him and let him use his platform for change, people in the locker room also can listen to things he got to say or other people. So that all
Yeah.
stems from the George Floyd's and the Black Lives Matter movement, all of that. So he's kind of just recapping and pushing, keep pushing that narrative, pushing the mission.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. It's a great commercial. And since it's Patrick Mahomes, it's even more important because, like I said, he's
Yeah.
the poster child of the NFL, fresh off a $500 million contract. You know what I mean? Like, you come on, man.
And I definitely agree with what you're saying. And you were saying that because like Adidas did it with other athletes, and it was like Damian Lillard, James Harden, and I not to slack any of them. Damian Lillard is one of my favorite players,
Yeah.
but when Patrick Mahomes do it, it's going to speak volumes to levels that they're not going to be able to
Yes.
reach.
Yes.
And that's why you gotta love it so much more because this is gonna be everywhere. And I just think it's great, bro. I just think it's great. I love the commercial. I love him standing up for the cause and actually speaking on it. And it's a great decision and great move on both ends for Adidas and Patrick Mahomes. I love it.
Yeah. So if y'all haven't seen the commercial, but I'm sure y'all have seen it. But if y'all haven't seen it, look at it for sure and really analyze and break it down. It's a powerful commercial. So Pat Mahomes, we commend you for your work you're doing on the field, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
also off the field. You're doing it both sides. You know what I mean? That's what more than athlete. That's what your power and platform. Shows what can happen when you use it for good and use it to the fullest ability. So keep doing your thing. And it's good to see people are realizing their initiative and realizing their power. Another person that realized his power and his initiative, what he should be, is Roger Goodell. We
We're
you
being
take back
demonstrative,
the
Uncle Raj.
Uncle Rod. You
Yeah.
take back to 2016 when the Colin Kaepernick situation was fresh. You know, when people looked when black players were looking to owners or looking to other people look that don't look like them, like to white people basically to looking for them to jump in, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and use your platform and power too, just like I am.
Yeah.
Roger Goodell is one of the people they looked at because he is the commissioner of the NFL, and he refused to say Black Lives Matter. Like he didn't, really,
Yeah.
because back then we didn't understand. They
He
didn't
didn't
understand.
acknowledge it. He
Yeah,
didn't acknowledge it. Yeah. He wouldn't
now
acknowledge it.
in 2020, post George Floyd and Breonna Taylor's cases, post after the summer situation, all of the protesting. Now Roger Goodell said Black Lives Matter to the masses. Tone, why is that so important that he said Black Lives Matter finally? Why did he do it? Like, you know what I mean? Explain that.
Because I think it's so important with the timing. Because you got to think just 12 months prior, same timing, same situation. It's not like Breonna Taylor and George Floyd is an anomaly. These things have been happening for years now. Just like last year, just like when Cap started, there was an altercation that happened to make Kaepernick start to do what he started to do. So 12 months prior to this, he would not acknowledge it. It's something he would not say publicly. It's something that he would not allow the players to really align with to an
Mm,
extent. He will allow them to protest. You can protest, you can stand for that. But to actually align with the Black Lives Matter movement, he wouldn't allow them to do it.
allow you.
So, yeah, so to come forward now and to be where we are now, I feel like it's important that he said it now because one, it shows that he's actually understanding now. Like he's actually
Mm,
understanding what's going on. And it's not just people are getting angry and protesting and try to push it into his face. Because we did that last year. We did that 12 months ago and he just pushed it away. No, it doesn't matter. It's not something I'm willing to acknowledge or even honestly, I don't think he cared about it, to be honest about it. So to come to where he is now, obviously it's not because we pushed it into his face because it's something that we did before. It had
mm,
to be something he probably watched that George Floyd video and had to show his kids and then talk to them about it. He probably read the articles and heard the details about the Breonna Taylor situation, and it changed his way of thinking and his mindset on the Black Lives Matter initiative, and
mm.
understand that it's more than just a foundation campaigning for Black lives. It's a community screaming out for help, saying that we matter. Saying that our lives matter, that we're not less than anybody else in this world. We're not going to be treated like
You all
that.
should
And
be
I
equal.
feel like exactly. So I feel like I'm seeing it changes a lot of it. It changed some things for him, and I feel like he's. I'm gonna just use the term here. I feel like he's woke to it now. He's starting to see more. He's starting to be more hands on for him, and
Yeah.
players are starting to get to him more, and he's starting to open his eyes to it. And now that he's seen it, and now that he did say it, I'm pretty sure he's willing to have meetings about certain things that he wanted to have meetings about before,
And
or
before,
have
yeah.
conversations about before, or even go to this fundraiser or fund these things that he wasn't willing to do before. He's starting to understand that. So the importance of him saying that is showing that he's changing. At least I hope so. At least that's all
Right.
I hope it's for. Yeah.
You hope so.
And yeah, so that's what I got from it. I don't what did you get from him
I'm
saying
with
that?
you.
What did you get what did you get the so I really I really hope that's what he got from it and what he's saying. And I hope it
I'm
wasn't
with you though
more
now.
yeah, I hope it's I just really hope it wasn't more of a media control, more of a all right, this is the timing for it because our league needed it. I hope it wasn't one of those
Because it
situations.
is cool. Like it's more so cool to back us up. Now
Yeah,
to
now
do
like
this.
to be pro black is in now. That's
It's
the thing
cool.
now. That's yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's striving now. That's what's being supported. Now
But
so after after the George Floyd situation, any organization, brand, programming that we seen was being pro black, was taking initiative and saying something in this cause and in this matter, we were supporting. We were looking
right.
out for, we were still engaging with. And we already had a bad rubbing with the NFL. So I don't want it to be one of those situations to where like, all right, cool, let's try to control this a little bit and let's just acknowledge this. I hope it was really meant for change and willing for change and not just media control. Yeah.
I think it. I want to believe that it was for because you really care now. But
Yeah.
it is cool to be. It is in to back us up. But I believe that Roger just realized for a lot of people, the way I look at it after the George Floyd Brown Taylor thing, like the stuff that happened throughout the summer, it really just opened up a lot of people's eyes. I feel like, and that's what I'm rolling with because it's a time of education now. Some people really didn't understand the plight all the way. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Or was ignorant, put
Or
blinders on.
was even willing to listen to it or acknowledge
Yeah.
it, you know?
But from when I had conversations in the summer with friends and things, what we kind of gathered and what I was talking about was the thing is now when you look out in the summertime in the protest, it wasn't just black people, it was white people, it was
Mm-hmm.
Asians, it was everybody. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And then now those people that are in those positions, they look and they like, whoa, we're out there. Like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, and
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 now
it,
it's
it
their daughter, their niece,
yeah,
their
they're
nephew.
doing.
Like, yeah,
Exactly. The youth is
yeah,
out there, but then there is
yeah,
other older people, and they like, wait, my colleagues out there. And then it's like, wait a minute, am I missing something? And then it's like, all right, let me really unpack this. And then with the
yeah.
conversations and people coming to you with a heart, and then it's like, dang, I feel for you now. Like that's what it happened. Like, and they look at the videos, and it plays with their heartstrings. And it's like, dang, like a human shouldn't be you know what I mean? Shouldn't be treated like that. And then it's
Yeah.
like them
There's
they
no
then
way a human should be on the ground face down with another human on his
exactly.
neck for
And then
11
that
minutes.
they
It's
look
like,
at that
no.
and they would use that exact same sense you just said, like, wait, a human, then wait a minute, wait, we're all human, not just black, white, we're human. No
Yeah, that could be
human
my
should be.
dad. That could be my mom. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
And
that's
then it
just,
wakes them up, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So I think Roger got woke up, like you just said, and just like, yo. And then also, if I don't use my platform, I'm getting slammed too. Cause it's like, damn, like I see the NBA outbidding us. You know what I'm saying?
you
They
see,
are
and
heads
that's the
on.
thing. When you compare commissioners, you see Adam Silver, who's been pro-black, like not to say pro, he's been for the players. Let's be
Yeah,
real here, the players. And when 70% of your league, NFL is 70%, right? And the
yeah,
NBA is about 85 or something like 84 or something like that.
yeah,
When
more, a
when
little
that's
more.
the numbers, when that's the numbers in your league,
You
you
have to.
kind of have to be that way, bro. And it's just because that's what's around you. You have to understand these players. Now, for these players to not feel as though you look at them less than or just an employee, there's no way that you can say I care about this staff and 80% of your staff is black. And when black people are saying we need some acknowledgement, you don't acknowledge. There's no way these 80% feel as though you care,
Mm.
and they feel as like they're gonna work for you. And you're somebody who understands them as a person. Because if you did, we wouldn't have to have this conversation. You know what I'm saying? There shouldn't have to be a Rooney Rule. If you really was trying to get us opportunities,
It shouldn't
there
be that.
wouldn't be a Rooney Rule. It wouldn't be a Rooney Rule. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
That's why there's never been one in the NBA. That's why there's never going to be one in the NBA.
Because
Because
they already
if
get
this
it.
is what exactly if this is who we are, this is where we've been, and 80% of our leagues like this, and
We're gonna
we're gonna
follow
hire
it.
coaches. Think about it. And then even coaches, what's the percentage of coaches that were former players? It gotta be
It's a
above
lot.
70%. It gotta
Yes,
be above.
a lot.
Now let's compare the numbers again. 80% of the league that plays, right, is African American. 70% of the staff that is hired is former players. If you were guessing, you never seen football a day in your life, and I told you those statistics. If you
Yeah,
were guessing, you will assume about 60%. I'm not the best
yeah,
statistician guy in the
you
world,
would
but
assume.
I'm a ballpark. It's 60% of this staff will be black. Less than 20% of the staff is black, right? What's the
Sad.
percentage of yeah? What's the percentage of the staff is black in the NFL?
I don't know. It's just, I mean,
Oh well, let's just go head coaches. Less than 20%.
super, super, super low,
Less than less than
super low.
20%. So
Yes.
the numbers are not adding up. The way things are being portrayed, the way things are panning out, there's some bias there. There's some disconnect there, and it's very
Education.
obvious.
And
Yeah,
that's why now we can, like Roger, do that because it's like, yo, I compare. leagues, and then also is education. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really understanding now, like, oh, all right, I got this platform. Let me really show I'm in for these players. Like I gotta, like I may feel as though I am, but dag, I really like I gotta do more. So it's like, dag,
So,
that
so that's
initiative
what
to
I'm
do
saying. So
more,
think about it.
boom.
Think
You
about
know?
it. 12 months prior, if you come out do a press conference, hey, I'm not going to acknowledge these Black Lives Matter initiatives. I'm not going to say anything about it, right? Now, when you go to these meetings, you go to these players' meetings, you go meet with any player, you go to these games, they see you. You're the same guy that won't acknowledge that Black Lives didn't matter, and now they work for you, and now you have to be in a room with 25 people, and 20 of them is black. You know what I'm saying? And then how are you supposed to get respect in that room? How are you supposed to then communicate with these guys on a level to where they respect you or understand you or are willing to even conversate with you? You know what I'm saying? So
Gotta wake up. So that
yeah,
education is key. So this summer woke a lot of people up for sure, man. And
yeah,
that's why the NFL has done their initiatives of doing what they're doing. Like I said, I interned with the Rodney McLeod show, and I created content for a couple segments and stuff for them. And one thing we was talking about was the whole we were comparing the I wanted to talk about basically the NFL's social response and their whole
yeah,
initiative of what they've been doing. Because since
yeah,
we're far past the halfway mark, and I wanted to kind of like, look, these are the things NFL are doing. We're gonna reflect on them. Then it's like, wait a minute, is
yeah,
this enough? Can we do more? Boom, boom, boom. And then it's like, boom. So one of the missions that they are trying to do is inclusion. You know what I mean? Inclusion, which is basically just bringing more black people to the table, equality.
mm.
They want that. They're trying to recognize that.
Don't stop.
So
Keep going. I'm about to walk
yeah,
back into the apartment,
okay,
John. So just keep
okay,
talking. I'm gonna block my camera and leaving.
okay. But yeah, so yeah, they want the inclusion. We want they wanted to have more black people in positions. You know what I'm saying? And where we just want to show our respects of diversity and things. And they showed that with the all black referee thing, and they're doing a lot of stuff to show that they care and that they get it. You know what I mean? That is something missing here, and we got the power to change things. So us stepping up and Roger saying Black Lives Matter, this whole movement in NFL with all the content that we're putting out, commercials, um, all content, on the field, having Black Lives Matter, the kneeling, the hands joint, the Alicia Keys, team of Alicia Keys, and getting business ventures out there, a lot of different stuff that they're doing. And one of the things that they like I just said mentioned earlier was commercials. A big commercial that had came out of this NFL's social justice movement that they got right now was LaDainian Tomlinson's commercial. Yes, the great LT, the Hall of Fame running back LaDainian Tomlinson, for the Chargers at the time, San Diego Chargers. And he had a commercial about social justice pretty much. And the commercial was centered around his Hall of Fame speech that he had in 2017. And he used that content and birthed a social justice commercial for the NFL to use for their movement. And like we just gonna break down the significance of that commercial, and why is it so important, pretty much, that commercial that he had. So to start that off, pretty much the commercial was about, like I said, social justice, and it's a lot of the stuff he said in that commercial was about Team America. He
Yeah,
used football references, Team America, and it said NFL is a microcosm of America. You know,
yeah,
and it's important. Commercials so important because it breaks that down and put things in perspective and shows the similarities between a football team in America. And this is exactly
yeah,
why I really wanted to have this whole racial justice in NFL project right here, was because NFL and the world has so many similarities, and we could take from that, and that's
yeah,
what the Damian Thomason wanted to say. Like, look, we come together for a common goal in the football team, we can come together for a common goal in America. And if our common goal it should be that we have equal opportunities, that we live in harmony. You know what I mean? We justice, liberty for all. These are things that we say.
Yeah.
We got to come together to make sure that everyone is experiencing that. And he's saying how basically that Team America has to come through that part. And like you said, if we say that we are all about opportunities to opportunities, we're a land of opportunity, we need to extend the opportunity to everybody, not have that door wide open for one group and then close it shut for another, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So he was saying basically love your neighbor like it says in the Bible, don't just extend your olive branch and help and care for people that look like you, but care for those that don't look like you. So if you're black, don't care just for black people, care for white people, Asians, and everybody. And if you're white,
Yeah.
don't just care for white people, care for blacks, care for Asians, care for the Mexicans, care for everybody. So it was a very significant commercial because his Hall of Fame speech was all about the things that are going on now and about America and comparing America to a football team and how they are similar, how we got to come together for a common goal. So that commercial was so significant and so important, and I love it. Great content. Tone, what you think about the commercial?
Yeah, great. Great content. I seen the Dane Thompson speech when it
Back in
first when he got
2017.
elected. All yeah, back in
Me too.
2017. I'm pretty
Love
sure
it.
we watched it together, didn't we? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I
yeah.
think so. Yeah, we definitely
So
talked about it during our freshman year on the show. I know for a fact.
yeah. So and another thing that it brings it kind of reminded me of, we were talking about watching the Brandon Marshall podcast, and on the one
Yeah,
episode, Channing Crowder, they were talking about politics and how we all know what's been going on lately with politics itself. So I'm not going to get too into it itself. But he was talking about how him and a former teammate, when he played for Miami Dolphins, he was a very hard nosed Republican, and Channing Crowder's Democrat. And it was very obvious they didn't necessarily agree on all things, and they didn't look the same, and they're not the same people. But when they were on the field, Channing Crowder never doubted him for a second. He never looked over him. He understood that they
wow.
were teammates. He understand that if I get blocked and I don't understand, I can't make this play, he know that he's there behind. So
Mm.
I kind of got the same thing from that when I got from the LaDainian Thompson speech. We don't all have to agree on everything, right?
We're all in this
I'm not
together.
saying, but yeah, but we all have a common goal to do the same thing, and that's to one further push mankind to become better and become uh more adept and living life and
Push
uh
the attributes that they and the
yeah,
principles
yeah,
that we say our country stand on.
yeah,
You know.
exactly. And also with that, we're all Americans, and we're all like, in a way, we're all proud to be an American, because we could be in other situations where things aren't looking as good as they do over here, and that's
Yeah.
the comparison that everybody will make themselves, but that's up to them. But in a way, we're all proud to be an American. Like we kept protesting for it, say, because American says that we have freedom and rights for all, and that's what we're fighting for, and we want that because we're Americans, and we feel like we are owed that as
Yeah.
Americans. Yeah, so we all just trying to get the common thing and have a common goal, and I feel like once we understand that, instead of try to see what our differences are and why we should try to be ahead of someone or behind someone, and just understand that the common goal is the same,
It's the
we're going to run
same.
into
Yeah.
yeah, we're
That
going to
would
run
be
into little
cool.
difficulties. But if we all play as a team, understand that, like, if I get blocked, understand my teammate's going to be there. Understand that we're all trying to get the tackle. We're all trying to get that first down. We'll be fine. We won't even look at our differences because we're all looking at the same thing.
Mm. That's
So
deep, man.
yeah, it was a great speech, and he hit some great points, and just like you're saying, just those little things that open doors, it creates conversation, and it makes changes in those little ways. But it's changes. You got to make those steps somehow. You got to make that progress somehow.
That's deep, man. Damien, we love the commercial. We love
Yeah,
the content that you did, man. And as a person, a man of valor, definitely appreciate what you've done, man. And using your voice. Hall of Fame speech was amazing. You don't even
yeah,
you would not even imagine at a point that have been used for a greater purpose. But yes, it's used for a greater purpose. With Tone, there's so much content in the NFL that could be
yeah.
used for that same purpose that
Hmm.
LaDainian Thomason's speech was used for. Like I said, he didn't imagine that would be used for that, you know, today. But see how life works, it goes full circle.
Yeah,
So Tone, what historical content would you use if you were a producer and making commercials for the NFL for the content of social justice? What content would you lean on to be like, look, we can use that for commercial for our content?
I feel like the content that started it all, and it started
Hmm.
off on such a good note, on such a good foot, and made perfect sense. And that's the Colin Kaepernick when he first initially started the protest, and the reporters asked him, "Hey, why are you kneeling during the national anthem?" And his first time talking about it,
You
his
going
first
to the
response.
going back to the roots.
Yeah,
When
exactly. But I'm like, once I said this on the show, what was it, 2 weeks ago when we did the Tyler Cat
we did it.
episode? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So it was so well thought out, so well spoken. You can tell, like it wasn't the first time coming out of cat mouth. You could tell that he didn't just think of this on the fly and coming up here and going to say it. There's something that he thought it was, something that he sat down and wrote. You understand? So when he tried to get this point across, when he communicate, it's going to come across very well, very
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 well.
well
Yeah.
spoken. Yeah. So when he said that I'm protesting for changes that needed to be made for social injustice for African American people in this country. He said the country says that it stands for freedom and justice for all, but I've
Living
seen
up to
people
it.
fight for this very country and not get those rights.
Yeah.
So things need to change, and it's all simply not all simply these. We see the line and the disconnect when it comes to race, and you can have the same people in the same situation, one be white, one be black, and it's total different outcomes. So the fact that America say that we're all equal and we all have the same justice,
You don't
you're
live up to
not.
it.
Yeah, you're not living up to those things that you're putting out. You're not living to those standards, to those amendments that you put on paper when this land was first put together, and you didn't stand on it then, but you're saying you're getting better over 700
Time.
years.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you're saying you're getting better over time, but we still have the same problems that you had when you created these initiatives and these amendments. So if we're getting better over time, if I'm really an American now, if I'm not one tenth of a man anymore, and you really respect me as an American now, why am I not getting the justice that every other American gets?
So that commercial that you're making with Colin Kaepernick is going to be a slap in the face to people, basically trying to say, like, look, like people gonna look at that like, dang, is he talking to me? You know
And that's
what
the
I mean?
thing
Like,
about, and that's the thing.
yeah,
If I'm talking to you, then you should listen.
it's basically I like that because it's something called accountability.
Yeah,
You're holding up the people and the country as a whole to
yeah,
accountability. This is what you
and
say. This is where you're meeting at. Meet the
yeah.
bar. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and it's crazy because the same people that went against him are the same people who die and stand by these very amendments and very laws that they swear on. Like players like Drew Brees, who looks very highly above on just the American system itself and being an American, and you think so highly of it, and you're saying like, hey, I live in a land of opportunity, like we're willing to do everything, and this is really how you see your land. This is really why you love it. Once you see it not doing it, you should have a problem with it, not make an excuse for it, or not
Yeah.
say, hey, this person is doing it because they don't, for whatever reason. Like, no, that's not, because that's clearly not what's going on.
Man, you hitting on the nose, man. That commercial, I'm watching that. I'm probably feeling a little type of way, or maybe I'm like, dang, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
That's like a preacher just cutting into your soul. Like, dang, I did go out. Like, dang, I did do that last night. Oh man, how you know me?
But
You feel what
sometimes
I'm
you need to, but
saying?
sometimes you need to hear that to understand what you did last night. It's not outlining what you're trying to do today. You know,
Yeah,
yeah.
hold
If
up
you're
of
trying to
who
do
you
something
are.
on Sunday, you got to be that person on Saturday too. You can't just wake up on Sunday and be that person. That's not gonna work.
Mm, I like that's powerful, man. But
Yeah.
if I'm using the content,
Yeah,
I'm
you're a good
gonna,
producer. You put some stuff together. Yeah, man. I
like
would
I
like. So
said.
what content you cutting up, chopping down? What you think can get a point across and also communicate it well enough for everybody to get it.
I'm gonna put my producer hat on like I be doing internship. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be like, look, man, we making this content, we're gonna make a splash, right? So now I don't know if it's gonna be a splash, but it's gonna be a banger. It's gonna be a nice jump. It's a good
As long
jump.
as you get that banger, you're good.
Yeah, long as you get the point across. But
Yeah.
basically what I want to do, I just want to kind of just show black excellence in my commercial and just show
Yes.
you, like I said, this whole movement is kind of like, we're not being understood or valued. We're kind of showing, I'm in this commercial, I'm gonna show you my value. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
gonna show you how high, a black person could go, or a person of color, or anybody can go, a human being can go, just
Yeah.
excellent. Show everything in the good light. A lot of bad stuff going on, kind of bring it together like something good. So I would just go back to Tony Dungy. I'll use Tony Dungy. It's always
Yeah.
great to be a first to do something. So I'll go back to him
Yes.
because
Break
he
them
was the
barriers for sure.
first. Yes, he was the first a black person to win a Super Bowl, you know, and I will
Yeah, as a head
highlight
coach.
that
Yeah.
moment. Yeah, highlight that moment and just have his pictures and videos of the Super Bowl, him holding the trophy, him people just celebrating him and celebrating the moment, and it's like, wow, person can get to this stage and do great things, could be in position. This is what happens when you could put a person of color in position. Championships can happen. And since we had
Mm-hmm.
talked about the Rooney Rule in the last episode, kind of just more fitting to be even talk about something like that, because it's like, wow,
Yeah.
it's kind of continue to put, and it pushes the NFL's um, mission of inclusion and diversity and equality. So that could be something that can sit in people's spirits and be like, wow, I do remember like Tony Dungy's moment, and like that was
Yeah.
amazing. Then
Yeah.
capture the fact of again capture moments of not Patrick, Peyton Manning really celebrating with him and really thanking him and just seeing how much he meant to Peyton Manning too, or even
Yeah.
like Jeff Saturday or those other captains on the team that weren't not just black but also white, and then be like, wow, like someone of that status and that valor and the man of that authority is getting celebrated by, you know what I'm saying, or
Mm-hmm.
celebrating Tony Dungy, like wow, Peyton, a poster
Yeah.
child, Jeff
Yeah.
Saturday, a known
Yeah.
person in the like, you know what I'm saying. So I think it would be
Yeah.
good to kind of push
Especially when
NFL's
the
mission.
narrative has always been pushed that white coaches can do these things. And we
Right.
see white people in this position get praised and get overcompensated for situations that they put themselves in and be successful. So
Yeah.
to see Tony Dungy do it and to understand that, okay, now as an African American, you could become a head coach on the most highest level and be the most successful at the highest level and be celebrated for it. And it was
Yep.
such a great acknowledgement. It was such a great thing to see.
Yep. So
And
I
I'm
think
happy that
that'd
that
be
happened
good.
during our generation of football because I watched that Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure you watched that Super
Of
Bowl.
course. Of
So yeah,
course.
so it was great to see. It was definitely great to see.
Yeah. I remember that like it was yesterday. And mind you, Peyton Manning's my favorite player of all time, so definitely was watching that
Hmm.
closely. So, but yeah, like, I think that'd be good for the NFL's mission. So, if I'm a producer, I'm doing that. NFL, call
Yeah.
me. I want to make that commercial happen. Another thing put on the resume.
Hmm. What's crazy though? The
Yeah,
fact that the NFL just celebrated its 100th year anniversary this
right.
past
Yeah,
season.
been around
Right.
for so long.
I'm only 20 years old, 22 years old. You're
Mhm.
21, right?
Yep,
We seen the first African American head coach win the Super Bowl.
that's amazing. We did.
Yeah, but also the fact that it took 75 years
Right, all that
for
time
this.
to do that.
Yeah, and it's not like he was playing quarterback. You know what I'm saying? To where like
Mhm.
it's more of a position to where you have to be put in this position by people of power. Like nobody just walks in to become a head coach. You need an owner to agree upon, hey,
Say
this is the
like,
person
yeah,
I want to lead my team. So you're telling me over 75 odd years,
that
there
to
was
do that.
no African American man you felt like can lead or be at the helm of a Super Bowl team.
No.
Like it's crazy, yeah. So
but yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like we
yeah,
broke down the history of things. Like
yeah,
we were shunned for a long time, and then like I said, he was one of the pioneers or one of the first products of the Rooney Rule and was a beneficiary of it. So yeah, it took all that time. Crazy, right? That's the whole point of it's a whole point of our whole racial justice in NFL special, pretty much.
mm-hmm,
Like that, we're getting the recognition and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Let's continue to move forward. That's the whole thing. Keep moving forward. Keep moving, pushing the narrative. Keep moving forward. And we have moved forward since that time. Tony Dungy, has been there. We move forward. Now we got probably the most progress we ever had. Keep going. Keep going. That's just what the
mm-hmm.
purpose of all of this. Just take it
And
all in
then the
and help
progress
with
still
that.
going even to this season because you have Mike Tomlin, who's African American coach, never had a losing season. Once again, is not doing it again because they went 11-0. So once you go
Oh,
9-0,
11-1. Sorry, lost to the
11,
football
I'm
team.
sorry, 11-1, lost to the Washington football. Once you go 9-0, that's officially a winning season. You could lose the
Winning
rest of the games
season.
for your year. Yeah, you could that's a
Exactly.
winning season. So it's still the greatness is still continuing to show, bro, to this day.
Exactly. So it's significant. So I would do it. NFL call me. I want to make the commercial happen now, but but
Who knows? You might get there sooner, you know?
yeah, I'm gonna get there real soon. It's
Yeah.
super
Yeah,
soon,
soon.
sooner
Yeah.
than anybody can imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we're gonna bring it kind of to a place in our home.
Yeah.
Philly. We're gonna take it down in Philly.
To the
Malcolm
T.
Jenkins. Long term, a long vet in
Yeah.
Philadelphia. Was it a
Yeah.
vet in Philadelphia for a long time? Won the
Ended up
Super
going
Bowl
back to
with
New
us.
Orleans. Yeah.
Yup, just went back to New Orleans, but he was in Philly for a long time. Won a Super Bowl with
Yeah.
us. Been a leader. Been a person in the community that had been fighting in Philly with police brutalities and what I mean, a lot of social justice stuff. That's his motive. And I want to highlight an achievement that he just had. This basically started the season. Malcolm Jenkins had made a venture capital fund. With the
Mm-hmm.
players,
Yeah.
and the players were Devin McCourty, Devin and Jason McCourty
Yeah,
from
the
the
McCourty
New England
brothers.
Patriots.
Yeah.
Yeah, the McCourty brothers, safety and cornerback for the New England
Uh-huh.
Patriots. It was who else was it? It was Jordan Matthews, who played for the Eagles before.
Rodney McLeod, right?
Yeah, and my guy Rodney McLeod. He they all came together with this players ventures type thing. So it was a venture capital fund. They got a lot of different ventures or investments with Airbnb, couple other interesting things, but Airbnb is one of them. They got like 7 different things, investments, but I think it's other ones as well. But anyway, the venture capital also has black women on it and other people on it as well. But the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing that this venture capital thing is doing, which is pretty much what we're going to talk about, what is the venture capital? Why is it important? Well, the venture capital, this whole situation that Malcolm Jenkins is doing, is going to give black people a voice or seat at the table, an opportunity to have
Yeah.
generational wealth in their family, because
Yeah.
only less than 1% of black people have a venture capital,
Yeah.
or in that type of investment game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
And that's
um,
more of the long haul, 20 years
yeah,
from now, 40 years from now, my money's worth more money. You know?
exactly. So it's 1% of us is actually doing it. So
Yeah.
he's breaking barriers, which I love, and then also he's according to stats that there is even less for black women that's in that. So he
Mm-hmm.
had brought a lot of black women onto
Mm-hmm.
this thing as well. So it's good to see that not just black men or black people, at all, in general, just black women too. He couldn't see the table for everybody, an opportunity for generational wealth. So I love that a player understands. Like I said, on the field, he knows the X's and O's, but off the field, he's understanding that, like, look, like we need wealth. That's something that black people lack is generational
Mm-hmm.
wealth. So
Yeah.
he's helping an opportunity. He's creating an opportunity for people of color to have that generational wealth. So people down the line, years down the line, could thank Malcolm
Mm-hmm.
Jenkins for something, for achievement as that. Like that, like I said, that happening today, you'll see the effect of that years from now, like for the rest of time, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
amazing that he done that, and like I said, you be able to use your platform and use your abilities and everything you learn to be like, look, I want other people to know these things. I want other people to have generational wealth, be able to have money for their kids or people as well. So,
Yeah.
that venture capital fund can do a lot for the world. You know what I mean? It can
For
help
sure.
help put future leaders of the world in position to make change.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in turn, over time, I feel like that creates more black success because one, with you said less than 1% of African Americans have this.
Yeah,
So I know it was more of a thing for me growing up. When you don't have money, you don't have generational wealth. My parents didn't. I didn't inherit money. I didn't grow up with money. So There's
Yeah,
certain opportunities that you would have if you were in a better financial situation. Like going into a certain college that you would rather go to than another one because you can afford to go to that college, or even understand that you can go to college because you have the money for it,
exactly.
or making investments into things that you know about. Like I can know about investments all I want. If I don't have no money, I can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
So I think over time this will allow these younger, like my kids or your kids, they will be born with opportunity and the tools to be successful from an early age, so they can start to prepare themselves for future endeavors. And then I feel like like 2 generations now, 3 generations from now, the status quo for African Americans will rise just because of things like this.
Things like that, and imagine who all gonna follow that more. Like Malcolm's doing something like that. Wow, I want to do stuff like that. Help create
Yeah.
generational wealth. So
Yeah.
it only takes one to have more. You know what I'm saying? That spark it. So yeah, because you can look at
Yeah.
like many other races that you can see that they have generational wealth or something to be like, oh, pass on to this person. You know what I mean? If it's a business, if it's a store, if it's money from family just had all this money in the safe and or their policy, death
It's
policy,
certain yeah,
you know.
it's certain families that still have money and businesses that were built and created upon slavery. And you
Yes.
understand this is how many years, it's
So
upward of
many.
500 years later.
So
So
many.
you gotta understand that generational wealth, and it still allows them to, like, they're successful at an early age because they have the tools that they need to be successful, and it's because of something that happened 500 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
that's a big thing. That's definitely a big thing, and that's
it
not something
is.
that's crucial to the growth of a community or just a generation itself.
Yeah, it's big. So this capital fund can create generational wealth for for people's families, and just be able to help people when they really when their families look back and reflect, they'll have money. Or when they look up, they got finances, do this and do that, like Tone was saying. So it's amazing to see, and it's amazing that NFL players come together for this, because NFL players or athletes in general sometimes can be looked at down upon and looked for the, they don't look as smart maybe because, oh, you're playing football, you're not smart, you're not business
Yeah,
savvy, you're not this. But a lot of
yeah.
times people are showing you now
They just
they're
see it
more
as
than
like a jock, you
athletes.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah, they
they're
just
more
see it
than
as like a
athletes.
jock, somebody who plays sports, and that's it.
And they're using, and then it's good to see people using their money from football and all their achievements for stuff that matters, not just on the
Hmm.
cars, the clothes, the fame, the
The
blowing
gold
up in the
chains, and they're
club.
not going broke no
Yeah,
more.
make it rain in
Yes,
the
bro.
clubs, and you know what I mean, all that. Yeah, all that stuff is cool, and it's time and place for that. But it's also it's like that. But we have to make sure we know we gotta get our family straight.
Yeah,
We gotta have the generational wealth. We gotta
yeah,
have houses and stuff for our families, our business for our families, put our families in position to, work for themselves. And you know what I mean? And just to be able to make opportunity to make money for themselves. So I
for
love it. So
sure,
Malcolm, I commend you for sure. You know,
for
and
sure.
as a Philadelphia Eagle, which you're still a Philadelphia Eagle for life, I
Yeah, he
appreciate
get yeah
that.
he get all the love in
Yeah,
Philly, bro. I'm not even an Eagles fan, and I got much love for Malcolm Jenkins, bro. Just the things that he's done, just in Philly itself, just the things I've seen him do in Philly, like the foundations I see him give back to. He was going from school to school, talking to kids, giving them, and I'm like, bro, like I grew up in Philly my whole life. I don't know too many players that did this in general, like just
yeah,
did it, and he was doing it off the will, just because that's who he was and that's what he wanted to do,
yes,
and I loved it. But I know it's much more than, like, how in the contracts you have to have appearances, you have to donate. No, you can tell this is something that he genuinely do. That when he's out here every Saturday, it's not it's not
he
in your
loves it.
contract. That's
He loves
yeah,
it,
bro.
man. And I commend him, and I like the other players on there. Like I don't know, like I feel so they're big givers too. I know Jordan Matthews is a lot of in in his own way. I know the McCourty brothers, they got things they do as well. I think
Yeah,
even together.
yeah,
And like I said, I work with Rodney, so I know firsthand what he do. So like people really care about the community, and I love to see it. And Malcolm and Rod, them two, I knew they did a lot for community when they were together in Philly.
yeah,
And even
yeah,
when Malcolm is in New Orleans, he's doing stuff, and I know Rod's doing
yeah.
stuff there. So it's good to see people are doing stuff everywhere they go. It's amazing. So
Hmm.
shout out to them guys and NFL players for sure. And the NFL players are still showing their wealth and showing their value. And if you're an NFL player or players, period, the way that they can show change or show that they care and want to help. You got the NFL got an initiative, basically NFL Care or NFL Changes or the Inspire. It's like an Inspire Change initiative that the NFL has. That's where players can jump in and make change. So one of the things that initiative is doing, one of the things that stemmed out from that was a thing that they have basically on NFL Network, or even they may have on NFL Network's website, and then on commercials as well. They have a special where players will come together and maybe a commercial pretty much, or maybe a 2-minute video, 3 minute, maybe even less, a video pretty much about a player, not a player, a person that was affected by police brutality or racism, and that don't really get that much light, situations don't get that much light on, or maybe a situation you got light on it and the person just genuinely loves their story. So it's going off the whole thing of say her name with the Breonna Taylor thing. Don't forget
Mm-hmm.
these people. This is what we're doing. We're trying to inform people. So here at Real
Mm-hmm.
Talk, we're informing people. That's what we've been doing all time with this whole racial justice NFL situation. So, but with our last topic, we're gonna give our stories or people that we feel as though should get more notoriety, or
Yeah.
just stories we want to just talk about. If we did an NFL Inspire segment on NFL Network, what we would say,
Yeah.
we would talk about. So Tom, I'll let you go first. Who's the lucky person that you'll be talking about and want to shed light on?
Uh, Person I want to shed light on is a story that we all know very well. I feel like we
Hmm.
just all forgot about, and that's kind of the problem within the story itself. And person I want to talk about is Sandra Bland.
Mm,
Person who was pulled over in a situation. I think it was a broken tail light or something like that.
hmm.
Got into an altercation with the police. She was arrested, and then 4 hours later, I believe she was found dead in her cell.
Wow.
With no indication on how she died at first, on no like real story, anything. She was just dead. Now, once the backlash came, because she was somebody who was well respected, who had a good job, who was a good person, who was doing productive things. It wasn't just a regular old anybody. Not to say that a regular old anybody should these things should
Could
happen
be,
to, but
yeah.
yeah, but when you your life have certain stature or at a certain level, you would get a little bit more push than a person who has like who life has very less value. So she was someone who people wanted answers for. You're not just gonna say she's dead. Like I'm pretty sure, like me or you, if we were just found out dead in a jail cell, like, that's not the end of the story. It's not just gonna happen. Like no. So her story was put up on, and it was frontline news for I want to say 2 3 months at the most.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
that
it was
was
frontline. Yeah, everything. And then we start to hear more details come out about how police might have altered evidence or changed things. Her mugshot was taken of her laying down on the floor because she was already
they
dead.
did.
Yeah, because she was already dead prior to her getting to the police station. There's so much things that we heard, so many stories we heard, so many people were supposed to be held accountable. We wanted answers. Come today, this is almost 3 years later.
Yeah,
We still don't have answers.
no
There's still nobody held accountable. There's still
accountability.
nothing. Yeah, there's no accountability from anyone. There's still no answers to all the questions. What she did before she got to the police station. What happened after that video went off? Because you've seen a videotape of her getting pulled over. She got out of the car and then the videotape went dead. No, that's not. That doesn't just happen. It's not a coincidence. We need answers. I feel like the higher ups, the people in charge, had an understanding that if we don't say anything, if we just keep quiet, it'll blow over. And we were dumb enough to allow that to happen. Now, in this situation, I feel like we should shed more light on it. We should talk about it more. Just like Breonna Taylor, we pushed it to the point where we didn't necessarily get the answers we want, but they knew they had to answer our questions.
It was progress. Yeah,
Yes, but they knew for Breonna Taylor there had to be some answers. There's no way there was nothing going to happen because Breonna Taylor was on every NFL jersey, every NBA jersey, anywhere you seen you
it was
had.
too big.
So we need so for Sandra Bullock, we need that Sandra Bullock. I'm so sorry, and that's
Sandra
so ignorant that
Bland.
I said
Sorry.
that's so ignorant that I said that. So for Sandra Bland, we need the same energy. We need the same aggression and the same progress that we fought for Breonna Taylor. And I understand that Breonna Taylor's situation was handled a little different because there was more of the the hay that made the stack fall necessarily,
Mm.
because it's over time, it's been happening and happening and happening, and now this time we want answers, and we've seen the progress that we have made, that we have made over the year. But for Sandra Bland, we want answers because her story is too crazy, it's too in depth, it's too much going on, there's too many moving pieces for us to not get nothing. Nobody charged, nobody accountable, no videotape of the jail cell, no videotape of anything, no records of anything, and she's just dead. No, that's not something that we
Mm.
should allow to happen under any circumstances for anybody. We need
Oh,
answers, and that's something that should be shed light on every day until something changes.
yeah, and
And
because we
that's
owe it to those people, and it's accountability, it's holding
exactly
America to those standards that we talked about before. I mean,
the because
accountability.
if Sandra Bland was Sandra Bullock, it wouldn't be the same story, bro.
Exactly. You're
It
right.
wouldn't be
So
the same story at all. There's no way that this story just happens and nobody know nothing and she's just there. Like, no, we need answers. The same way we would have got answers for anybody else that was not of color. We need the same energy. We need the same accountability. We need the same resources to take the
quality.
same action. Exactly. We need equality. Simply said, what you said that you're going to give us, we need it. And I don't understand why we begging for something that you said you was going to give us anyway.
I know that she would appreciate you shedding light on her story or talking about it even more, even when we've heard it already before. And no
Yeah,
story is like overused. Like, you know what I mean? You can't
yeah,
overuse it like because it's a harsh reality in the story and there's inequalities that's happened in the story. So inequalities should always be talked about. Light should be shed about inequality. So an inequality that happened in my story or my
yeah.
story.
So,
Uh,
who are you
yeah.
shedding light on? And so, what story inspired you to talk about?
Well, going back, what was that? Around the same time, pretty much.
Yeah,
Eric
around the
Gardner
same
in
time.
New York. In New York, Eric Gardner was selling Lucy's. If people are
Yeah,
not in the hood, loose cigarettes.
yeah.
You
And
know what I mean?
it's a normal thing. Not to say that it's a
Yeah,
legal thing, but you're selling a cigarette that you buy for $10 a pack. You're breaking down that pack and selling it for 50 cent or 75 cent,
right.
trying to double up on your $10 investment.
Yeah, and people
Yeah,
people were going to buy this. You know what I'm saying? You bought it. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
So, and yeah, it's just something that people do in the hood. So, but yeah, police came up on him and was trying to pretty much arrest him, and with the force that they had, and he kind of wasn't with it, and they went up and beyond. They went way beyond
yeah,
what they needed to do. Like, okay, man, resist the
yeah.
arrest, but you don't, you know, get
Way
that
beyond
man like
reasonable
that.
force. Way
Yeah,
beyond reasonable
and
force.
and put in perspective too. This man is what he's 6'2", like maybe
Yeah,
300 pounds or
yeah. He
something.
wasn't a little guy. He's not a
Yeah,
little guy. No.
he's a
Yeah,
big guy, and you see the police, little police officer in a sense too. Like, or he's not
yeah,
as big as him.
yeah.
He goes and choke him,
Hmm.
and then if I'm not mistaken, it was a couple, right? Or pretty much, or
Yeah,
was it?
yeah. It was the one choke. The one officer was choking him. The other officer was trying to get him to the ground also, and other two
Yeah.
officers was just pushing people away, trying to get them away from the
So it
situation.
was a one big
Yeah,
mess, but
yeah,
there's that one cop actually choked him and
yeah.
was choking him, and that's where the whole "I can't breathe"
And you hear
stemmed
him
from.
saying for about a minute,
I
"I
can't
can't breathe.
breathe.
I can't breathe." Yeah,
And he kept saying that, and they still said, "We're gonna choke you." You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like they didn't say it, but they did it. And sad, and that man died. For some cigarettes, and you killed me for
yeah,
that. And I tell you, I can't breathe. I tell you this, and you should just get up off me or just arrest me. Like it should, you know what I mean? It shouldn't be that. And it's
yeah,
crazy because the same thing happened with the George Floyd situation, like far as like I can't breathe or like I was
yeah,
crying for help, crying for my mom. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Someone torturing, both situations, someone's tormenting somebody. And that's what happened in both situations. And we see police training both times come into play, or
yeah,
the lack of, or the parts of it where you could critique or could change was
yeah,
because of that. And if I'm not mistaken, because of that situation, they eliminated the chokehold. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
they did, they adjusted training. And
yeah,
also this called a uproar in the community and also in the sports world, just like the George Floyd
Breonna Taylor.
and Breonna Taylor situations in the past summer had done.
Yeah,
You had guys like LeBron James have "I Can't Breathe" shirts, warm ups, and a lot of
mm-hmm.
people had those type of stuff until you got action, and yeah, I mean, it's injustice that's going on, and that's a situation I would talk about. I do remember also talking about the situation in African American history class back in
Yeah,
Central High School. So, um, it's crazy. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
crazy.
it is crazy.
Sophomore year, Eric Gardner, man, and I remember hearing him, um, his name being mentioned in a couple
Yeah,
rap songs. I remember the
yeah.
game mentioned him in one
Yeah.
of his
And I
songs.
think, and it's for us, well, maybe for our generation, it's one of the first times because I know we had the Rodney King incident, and
Yeah,
that was '92. I wasn't born, you wasn't born. That wasn't something
right.
that we necessarily
Yeah, that
we've
was one
seen
of
the
the
video
early
of it.
situations.
Yeah, we've seen the video of it, but we didn't necessarily see it. That wasn't part of our generation or of our real life. Now, for Eric Garner, even still, I understand that the Rodney King situation was something that was displayed, broadcasted through news. There was no social media. Now, for the Eric Garner situation, I seen that video on
Social media.
Facebook.
Yeah, this
I
was
seen that
social
video
media.
on Facebook. Yeah.
Yep,
So and there's 4.5 billion people on Facebook, something like that.
it's too many people. You know
Numbers
what I mean?
is too many. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but the fact that video was circulated between those amount of people and was seen, and for the first time by the masses, it
and
was
then
seen
put on
on a
news.
raw. It was seen on a raw level to where they just didn't care, and then it was brought to the news and broadcast everywhere else. So I think for our generation, it was the first time that we seen it up first, and we could have been like, all right, let's make change. And that evoked
Yeah,
change. And that started to show within sports. Like you were saying, that's the first time I seen them publicly protest because the whole Cavs team had on the I Can't Breathe shirt, and then other teams started to do the same thing until we got some action, until some result happened. And before that, I haven't seen it.
yeah.
Not necessarily from my understanding, I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
So
you right, bro, and that's the crazy part. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was one of the earliest situations of our generation where the social media came into play, and that's every situation pretty much happened afterwards. It's always been social media or been having the cameras. The whole phones have been the reason
mm-hmm.
that birthed that situation, like being able to record that, and now that
Yeah,
effort of that being recorded, situations that being recorded have been also another reason why things I feel as though have been able to have progress. So
yeah,
but yeah, man, that's this is the end of our racial justice in NFL
yeah.
special. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as we had. This was three
Yeah,
episodes,
I
you
really
know.
enjoyed this one, and the Zoom.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
was.
I'm
I
sorry.
know it's gonna take me a minute to get used to, but it was going.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. It's not too bad.
You had episode 1 Cap Effect, episode
Hmm.
2 Rooney Rule, episode 3, um, which is this one, the Justice League.
Just a fact.
Yep. So it's amazing, man. And the whole point of this whole situation is just to inform people about social justice, is to invoke conversation wherever you at. If you're in your cars, if you're in your
Hmm.
homes, if you wherever you at with your
If you're on your
friends,
radio show,
or your radio show, wherever
yeah,
wherever you're at, what I mean, listening to Real Talk. You hear the racial justice in NFL special we had. We're invoking conversation. We're making you think and have the same conversation we're having right now amongst your own selves in your mind or amongst the people that you're with. And that helps create change because people that needs education can have that and maybe like, wow, he's right. I like how he said that. I never thought about that. Put a new perspective to it,
hmm
and then now maybe you
hmm
can get open. You know what I mean? Maybe this was the last cracking point or last effort for you, or last thing that you needed to really be woke and understanding. Like, dang, I need to change my own subjective behaviors and things like that. Or
yeah,
maybe what I hope of this whole situation, that maybe you will get out there in the field and do something to help with change, if wherever position you at, you know what I mean, wherever you at in
hmm
life, wherever you're trying to go in life, make a change, stand for it. We standing for
yeah,
change. We used our platforms at Newman Radio to
yeah.
create change. Use your
And we said
platforms
that
wherever
first.
you at.
And
Yep.
we said that first episode. We said we're gonna use this platform to create change and inform people about
Yep.
everything. Right?
And that's what
about
we
everything.
did, man.
And that's why we called it Real Talk, man.
Yeah, real talk real conversations.
Yeah,
Don't listen if you ain't ready to hear some real stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
for
so
sure.
that was the whole purpose of this special. And
Mm.
I'm hope y'all enjoyed it as much as we did. And man, it's lovely, man. And stay fighting the good fight. And don't forget about that. We all matter. And we all need everybody to do their 1% to make sure that we're all represented and make sure we have equal opportunity for everybody. It's been too long for that only really one group or a couple groups have been mattered. You know what I mean? Black
Yeah,
lives never mattered in life for real, for real. Now people are getting in a position to really change that. You know what I'm saying? For real. And I love the fact that we were able to help invoke conversation and hopefully change y'all. We showed y'all the power of radio, showed you the power of sports radio. On a sports show, you can talk real topics and real talk about life because it all comes together. Because, like Damian Tomlin said, football is the microcosm of America and the world. So,
mm-hmm.
thank you, and we'll see y'all in January. So,
January. Yeah,
stay tuned. Stay close.
stay
Like I
tuned.
say, stay close to your phones. Stay close to whatever that you use for information. Stay close to it because it's always going to be buzzing. Something new is going to be happening in the NFL or NBA worlds. But in this case, we're talking about racial justice in the NFL. So there's always going to be new stuff happening as well. So see y'all in January. Real talk. We'll, like I said, we break down NFL and NBA. Y'all have a good night. This is Josh, and that's Tone.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. Real talk out.